welcome to Gamers Table, a podcast discussion of tabletop role-playing games, war games, movies, books, and various other game-related topics. Be warned, this show contains some explicit material that may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hello and welcome to Gamers Table. My name is Eric.
This is Mike.
This is Dan.
This is Mark.
This is Jason.
And I'm Sean.
This episode we're going to talk about guilty pleasures. Guilty.
What is that from?
Superman.
Superman.
Got it, yes. There's a guilty pleasure for you.
Guilty.
Any of the Superman movies. Any of them.
No.
Well,
I don't. I
are
would
you saying
say
that's your guilty pleasure?
No.
Dan, is the Superman movies?
No.
I disagree.
Superman 4.
It's all guilt and no pleasure.
Anybody who has Superman 4
Yeah.
as their guilty pleasure is
or
has
Superman
problems.
3. Or Superman 3.
What are you talking about? That's
Is that the one with Richard
Don't
Pryor?
tell me
yes,
that's
that's
the
the
best
basis
one.
of,
Wait a minute.
of
God.
Office Space. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good point. Yeah, the banking scam to siphon off the money. It's pulled straight from...
Superman
Wow.
3?
Okay, that's plenty of Superman 3. No, this topic was spawned from whenever you gave us a little snippet that you have the guilty pleasure of Star Wars novels.
Right.
Which I would liken to garbage. I'm pretty sure. Oh God, Sean has Darth Plagueis
Darth
hardback.
Plagueis hardback, which I also own
I'm
and just
sorry.
received
Yeah.
just the other day.
That's mine.
I can't lie. I did look at that at the bookstore, and it did look pretty good.
This is the same guy who wrote the Darth Vader book I just read.
Yes.
When you're done with this, I want to read
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So yeah, of course, Darth Plagueis is was the Dark Lord of the Sith who trained Darth Sidious.
Right.
So you can't go wrong.
I'm pretty sure you can actually, but
Yes, actually, to compound that, one of my further guilty pleasures that I don't think anybody here knows is that not only do I collect the Star Wars books, the novels. I usually get them from Science Fiction Book Club. I've been a member of that forever. I also collect the little Star Wars books from Scholastic, the kids' books. I've got quite a few of those also, which I read.
and yet for some reason you don't collect like the Dark Horse books.
But I do read some of the comics, and I have as a matter of fact, in my book bag, I've got the first omnibus of the Dark Horse. It's the Tales of the Jedi. I mean, I do read that.
What genre is that in? What time
What
frame?
time frame?
is
Old
that?
Republic.
Old Republic.
So it passes muster for me.
Passes yours.
Yes.
Which, by the way, this is a complete tangent, but
Already, all right.
yes, I have been thinking. I remember I did say I'm going to run Star Wars. I'm going to run it here.
Yes.
And based upon my newfound love of Star Wars Old Republic MMO,
Love it.
it's going to be an all Sith campaign.
Oh.
And that's,
Lame.
and that's going to be our confrontational campaign. You're going to be each person's going to be the apprentice to a rival Darth.
That's
I love you,
weird.
Eric, but that sounds lame as shit.
No, sorry, no.
No.
Can I be Darth Garth?
But that's
How can we possibly pull this off? We're just
It's Old Republic.
By all rights, you should just be killing each other.
well, okay. The thing,
You know what I
the
mean?
thing is,
There can
you don't
only be
have
one?
to play a Sith. You could play like a smuggler working for the Sith or a soldier working for the Sith.
You know, it's
You're
funny because I'm playing a smuggler
recovering
right now on that MMO. My intentions were to be a good person, but the answers I'm coming up with in the dialogue, I keep getting red 50s.
Yes.
Yeah. Computers don't understand sarcasm.
Right.
And-
I'm just
and-
like, oh, darn
No,
it.
in real life, sarcasm means you're a dick too.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm my smuggler is slowly becoming a bad guy, I think.
Yeah. So yes, that is my newest pleasure. I wouldn't even say it's guilty, although it is guilty because I should be doing other things.
Yes.
Is that MMO?
Yeah,
so
that's mine
the,
right now.
The Old Republic takes place how many thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin?
Well, one of the comics that I'm reading right now, which is actually the Knights of the Old Republic comic, is set like 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Yeah.
So I got to make Jedediah Daenerys.
Wow.
It could be you work for
Jedi Puritan.
If multiple people play Force users, then you may work for different Darths. Or if only one or two people play, you can maybe play for you could all be aligned together, but being pulled in different directions.
I think this would have worked better had you not told all of us at the same time.
I'm throwing it out there.
I'm just saying.
I'm just throwing
Are we
it out.
making our characters or pre-gen?
I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
I was going to say
You know what you could do? You just make a random amount of characters, put them in a hat, and everybody has to draw it.
We've done that before.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I know
I
one
noticed
person
Mark
at the table that won't
cringing.
like
Yes,
it.
a guilty pleasure, pre-generated character.
I do love pre-generated characters.
But yeah, so yeah, pre-generated characters is a guilty pleasure. I think that because I like doing that because I like taking someone else's idea and running it with my own.
Sure.
You know, that kind of thing. What else does, let's see, what else does everybody else have? Guilty.
Guilty.
I don't really have guilty pleasures. I have rampant life-sucking obsessions.
Is that better or worse?
And your most current obsession, you have an obsession based on a pre-obsession.
Yes, I do. All right, so Mass Effect 3 is coming out in March. Gearing up for Mass Effect 3, I am been going back through creating characters over and over and over again in an effort to, by the time Mass Effect 3 comes out, I've got 8 or 9 characters that have made all the various different decisions throughout the gameplay of the first 2 games, so I can sit down and play Mass Effect 3 8 or 9 times and get all of the possible outcomes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That is obsessive.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: the title of today's episode is supposed to be "Guilty Pleasures."
Well,
is
I
that
just
really
said-
Do
pleasurable?
you derive pleasure from this?
It's a perverse kind of pleasure, yeah.
Wow.
Do you post any of your information, though, so people can benefit from your...
Insanity.
Oh, no.
Hey, there
Insanity?
you go. There you go.
Oh, no,
you
no,
can
no.
blog it.
No,
dude.
Really, because
I don't. I mean, I'm
I've
on
used
2
people like you.
podcasts, and I don't blog or any of them.
No.
I made one post on our forum, and I was just saying, "Hey, I'm here."
Because I've used, like, a lot of games I've played, I've used people like you that do blog about what they did, and I decide what I'm going to do through them.
So what we're saying is
so you're basically letting somebody bird dog the game for
exactly.
Yeah,
There's
spoiler
lots of guys
alerts,
out there
Is
that
that what a
know.
walkthrough's for?
Yeah, basically
yeah.
a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I do.
I've used a lot of walkthroughs in certain games.
That should be a guilty pleasure. You should just be ashamed of yourself.
Well, that's what Eric and I were talking about on the way here. Like, there has to be some modicum of shame attached to a "quote unquote" guilty pleasure
So those
for
of
it
us
to be a
with
guilty
no
pleasure.
shame.
Exactly.
Right.
You
Well-
can't have a guilty pleasure if you have no shame.
I broke down with the walkthroughs after I've thrown my controller through the TV. You know, it's just like there's a point where you can't go any farther. So I have to.
Mine was
break
always
down.
when I feel as though I will put this down and never play it again, and therefore I've wasted my money. And then you have another guilty pleasure. Here's one I didn't even think of: going back and watching videos of people playing the game all the way through that I never finished. Which
Wow, I've never done that.
I know. It was like 3 weeks
Is
ago.
it like a self-deprecating thing where you're like, I'm such a loser, I couldn't figure that out?
I'm like cutting myself while I'm doing it too. Yeah.
You know, though, in WoW, our guild, it was mandatory
Yeah.
that people would have to sit through.
Do your homework.
Yeah, you had to do your homework for a dungeon. You'd find guilds that were advanced farther than us, and it was mandatory that you sat through and watched the raid being done before you did it.
It's because you guys had
That just
problems.
makes me hate that game even more.
Yeah, because, I mean, so then there is absolutely no surprise at all.
There's no
and no
difference.
fun. It's like, this is your job.
Well,
There's no difference.
you will put the
between-
label on the can.
There's no difference between that and me and Brian in college going to a bookstore and opening the Ruins of Castle Greyhawk and opening it to see what the next level was, what waited for us, and then
Was
going,
that more despite Mike?
No, not at all. We just wanted to see what was there, and we knew that there was a room that had a Spelljammer in it after we looked in the box, and Brian and I made a beeline for that room, and Mike knew exactly what we were doing, and he didn't let us have the Spelljammer.
Maybe I
So-
should give you guys a module sometime and say, all right, do your homework. This is what we're going to be playing next week.
That would
And
be
see if
no
it-
fun.
And see if it
Exactly.
goes,
Yeah.
But see if it goes any faster.
but see, our
No. You know it
That's
wouldn't.
the point, isn't it?
well, our guild though, see, they weren't so much worried about having fun playing this dungeon as they wanted to be recognized as an advanced guild. Because there was a posting and it showed around the world what guild was the #1 guild, and they wanted to be that #1 guild.
There's no admiration like nerd admiration.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I remember that back in my TFC days. I'm
And we were.
not even going to be involved in that kind of shit.
In the North American continent of the game, we were like #3 in North America. That's how big our guild was.
The thing about that is, it only means something to the people who are actually involved in it.
Blizzard, yeah.
So that could be considered a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure is something that you are kind of uncomfortable to admit in mixed company. Gaming itself can be considered a guilty pleasure if
Well-
you're not openly gamer.
I'm openly gamer. I don't have a problem admitting that I play games. But what I was going to say is one of my guilty pleasures is our Wednesday night get together to podcast and play because I'm taking myself away from my family. You know, I know my wife's at home right now with the kids, and they're probably driving her bonkers. So
And you're having a good time.
And I'm having a good time with my friends. Exactly.
So that
be
makes
more
you
like
feel
mine.
guilty.
Right. I mean, I've got some other stuff on here. I was racking my brain all week trying to think, what do I like to do isn't quote unquote cool that I really don't like to admit to people that I enjoy. I couldn't really think of a lot of things.
I had the same problem.
I guess as far as like books that I like to read, I mean, you'd mentioned the Star Wars books. Books that I like to read that I know that none of you guys read, it would be like Harry Turtledove books, alternative history books.
Yeah.
I love that genre.
Yeah.
Love that. I don't think anybody else really reads that, but
That's
me.
kind of...
I do.
You do?
But I don't share your love of Westerns in any medium.
Really? Yeah. I love Westerns.
I know.
And I came to that late in life. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I hated Westerns.
Well, yeah. See, and also a guilty pleasure would be, you know, something that you can't pass up, even though you probably should. Or,
Right.
you know, it's like, do you
Like
read
bacon-flavored treats.
Yes.
bacon-flavored treats?
Which I still have not sampled. They're intimidating me.
Hey, it's bacon.
The Bass Pro Shop label on the thing is really bothering me.
Guilty pleasure for me at Gen Con, Pizza de Tito. I can't pass it up.
Yeah.
I can't go to Indianapolis and not go there and eat. I
I go to Gen Con just so I can go to Pizza Tito.
I can't quit you, Tito.
I can't quit you.
I can't say I disagree with that. That's definitely something that I know that I've in the past. I mean, I've lost weight, I've gained it all back. I've lost weight, I've gained it all back for years, the last 7 or 8 years. But inevitably, I've lost 30, 40, 50 pounds in a given year. And then we go to Gen Con, and that's usually when I start gaining weight back because I've gone
fall off the wagon.
I've gone to Gen Con and gained 15 pounds in 4 days.
It's easy to do.
And it's
Challenge accepted.
the first Gen Con that we went, we ate McDonald's every meal.
That was the only thing that was anywhere near where we were staying.
And it was the only thing that was open.
And that
it
we
was
recognize.
Right, it was like our hotel was across from a McDonald's and next to a strip club. You know, we had basically two choices. As to
I was talking about the one on the Heights.
I know where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
No, I don't think you want to do that.
No, we've got better things to spend your money on,
Trust me.
Sean.
Exactly. So,
I'd say Gen Con is kind of a guilty pleasure.
Absolutely.
Because whenever
Absolutely.
you go to
Especially-
explain to people what you're doing, I'm like,
where are you going on vacation?
I could really waste both of our time and explain this, but I just say it's my nerd vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ladies I work with call it my nerdcation.
There you go.
My nerdcation.
That works.
And because up until last year or year before last, didn't even take my family along, which you know I liked having them there, but it's you know
Changes
it's
the
different.
dynamic.
It changes the dynamic of because it is very much a guy's vacation for us. Now other people could be completely different.
Which I just told my girlfriend. She told me just the other day. She's like, "I'm really upset you're not taking me." I looked at her like she was crazy.
You're really probably not. You know.
All you need to do is show her some pictures, and that'll be all she'll need to
No,
see.
she would like to do that. I think.
You showed her the wrong picture.
Yeah, you showed her the ones that Woodside took the year that before he was actually not single anymore when he took pictures of all the booth babes.
Yeah.
Then she won't want him to go.
Right.
He's in good hands.
So, but yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Gen Con's definitely a guilty pleasure for us.
Again, along those lines, I determine guilty pleasure by, do I really want to explain this to somebody? And if the answer is no, then I consider it a guilty pleasure. For me, my number one is painting miniatures. Because when you say painting miniatures, the first thing people think about now after the 40-year-old virgin is when he's like, and now you've got purple armor. And he's sitting there painting the miniature.
I see your point in it, but I've shown people pictures of miniatures that I've painted, people who aren't into gaming, because they'll say, well, you know, what'd you do on your time off? Well, I did some painting. What, like you're painting your living room? No. And I've got pictures on my phone of some of the things that I've done.
What I like doing
used
that too, and then you show them the scale. I'm
Right.
like, oh God.
Exactly.
You do that?
How do you paint so small?
You must use a brush with one hair.
Right.
How many times have you heard that?
Right. But yeah, the girls at work think that when I talk about my nerdcation, they all assume that I LARP because of role models.
Role models.
Yeah. And
Again, giving nerds a bad name.
I love that movie.
I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, it gets to the point where you're so tired of trying to differentiate from the stuff that you don't do, but people assume that you do, that you're just like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, how about rather than gaming, let's do we have any non-gaming?
Or just in general. Gaming
In general,
or not.
and I'll kick it off. I hate to admit it, but Dragon Ball Z is one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh my
Yeah, I wouldn't admit that either.
I know.
I'm with you on
why
that
it
one,
is.
Dan.
Solidarity.
I have never watched an episode of Dragon Ball.
There's a lot of yelling.
Neither have I.
There's a lot of
Flashing.
traveling.
A lot of posturing.
A lot of posturing. and about 5 minutes of beating ass.
Just a cartoon?
Yes.
Oh, see, I
Dragon
didn't even
Ball
know
Z.
that. Okay.
Well, okay. I just recently, within the last maybe 5-6 years, started to actually start watching anime. That wasn't forced upon me.
Like tentacle porn?
No, not that kind.
That is not.
Hey,
no.
he brought it up.
It's a different thing.
We all knew